7 habits. And so far what we've covered, right? Being proactive, beginning with the end in mind, putting first things first, thinking win-win, seek first to understand and then to be understood. And then today we're going to look at synergize and sharpen the saw. And I'm super excited about that. And we're going to kind of, my intent is we'll wrap a bow on this at the end of the day that people can, how do we make sure that we're continuing to implement these action items? So habit 6, synergize. Synergize is the habit of creative cooperation, right? Synergy is celebrating differences, teamwork, open-mindedness, and finding new and better ways together. It is a process. And through that process, we can create new alternatives, options that didn't exist before. Synergy is the idea that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Synergy means you can literally produce something with another person that neither of you could have produced separately. There is a gentleman, and I'll have to find it, but it's a pastor, and it's a really funny concept, and it's talking about the difference of men and women, and especially in a marriage, and the things that we typically complain about are the differences, and yet those are the strengths. So the public library actually got a lot of this information from the public library, and it talks about women can see, right? Like we're designed to be able to see all around these periphery, right? And men can see right in front of them. And he tells the story, and it's hilarious about, they actually did a study, and they said, hey, they had couples go to this apartment, and the thing was to tell the husband to, hey, grab the ketchup. And he would open the refrigerator, and he would get down and, in his stance, and he's looking for the ketchup. Honey, I don't see it. And she's able to walk up and just put her hands right on that ketchup, because that's the way we visualize. It's our, because he sees this and we see all of this. It's the reason why, right, in a car, your spouse might be going, oh, you missed that. And it's just really funny how instead of seeing those as differences that separate us, looking at those as things that are made for us, so that we have that synergy of we both bring something to the party. Hey, Deb, I'm so glad that we were able to, I don't know what it was. We love technology. So
I got it on my phone. I can't get it on the computer. I don't know why.
Okay. So we're starting with habit 6 of synergy, right? So we look at, before we can leverage the strengths of others, we must first be able to recognize and value the differences. So, let's look and see how much we actually value differences. So we're going to take a quick quiz. Mon, just put that link in the chat box.
All right. Is it the first one, the public victory?
Yes.
Okay. There you go.
All right, so Deb, if you'll grab that and go ahead and copy it. Oh, you're on your computer. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I was on there twice, and now I'm actually in the computer now.
Okay, yay. So go in the chat box and click on that link. And I'm gonna have you take that assessment really quickly. And you're just going to click on the number 1 through 5 that most closely represents your normal behavior or attitude regarding the statement that's on the left.
Okay. My computer's denying me access to get into my computer.
Okay. So I'll give them to you, and you're gonna write down.
Okay.
1 through 5. 1 would be never. 3 is sometimes, 5 is always. And you can pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're just going to write down the answer.
Okay.
When I hear a point of view that is different from mine, I ask the person to elaborate on that idea.
Okay.
When in disagreement, getting my ideas expressed is more important to me than following the opinion of the majority.
Is there a win, lose, or draw on this?
It's just never, sometimes or always.
Okay.
I frequently work with people who seem to have different perspectives from mine.
Okay.
I try to use the knowledge and skills of others to better accomplish tasks.
Okay.
I've found it very useful to have teams composed of people with different backgrounds.
Okay.
I strongly believe that every person has a unique way of contributing to his or her family or group.
Okay.
I actively seek to learn from others.
Okay.
I share my opinions with others, even when our opinions seem to differ. When
Okay.
working on a project, I seek out different ideas and opinions.
Okay.
Whenever I'm involved in a creative task, I tend to brainstorm with other people rather than rely on the opinions of experts.
Read that one again.
Whenever I'm involved in a creative task, I tend to brainstorm with other people rather than rely on the opinions of experts.
Okay.
All right, so go ahead and add those up, and then I'll tell you about the scoring. Now, for those of you that are coming back and watching this recording, if you access this through YouTube, under the YouTube link is going to be the this quiz, and you can do it for, do it on your own as well. And then you've got the scoring right here. So 41 to 50, significantly leveraging the difference of others, 21 to 40, moderately leveraging the difference of others, and 10 to 20, not taking advantage of the differences of others. Now, wherever you are today is great, right? This is just us taking our temperature, are looking at, almost like, think about when you go to the mall and you want to go to a store in the mall and you find the map and you go, you are here. And then we can figure out where we want to go. That's all this is. It's just looking at where are we when we look at when we look at synergy. Okay. And are we synergizing? I love what Covey shares here. The essence of synergy is to value differences, to respect them, to build on strengths, to compensate for weaknesses. Once people have experienced real synergy, they are never quite the same again. They know the possibility of having other such mind-expanding adventures in the future. And this makes me think about, in my early 20s, I played competitive slow pitch softball. It's slow pitch softball. How competitive can it be? And yet we traveled all over Texas playing this. And it was interesting because, so I was the youngest person on the team. And I was also the one that had been with them the least amount of time. So by the time, and I think I ended up playing with this group for about 3 years. And I remember, and they had already been together for double that amount of time. And we would go to these tournaments and we were all either good, or we had some really good people. None of us had ever played college ball. Like, we were good high school players. And yet we would go to these tournaments and, and win and beat people that were literally like, they were sponsored to play slow pitch softball, and we would win. And it was because of the synergy. We had been together. We knew how each other thought. We knew when Karen got up how she was going to hit the box, and it was interesting how through that synergy, we were able to beat people that on paper were better than us, right? So that's what the synergy, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 3, right? Like, is it more than you could have done on your own? See, differences are an opportunity, not an obstacle. So the key is to remain open to hearing ideas so that you can determine which ideas to combine to spark a better solution. When faced with a difference of opinion, you can respond in several ways. We can attack, right? We put down the idea. This is when we get defensive, and it's a fear-based response. We could tolerate, we could put up with it and yet not accept it. We could accept it, right? We accept that the idea is different, and yet we don't really try to change anything, or we can value it. We value the different idea and we begin to see the opportunity in the new information. And then we can celebrate. And this is, we seek out individuals who think differently, and you learn from those differences. So this is how we improve results, by valuing differences. So I'm gonna read these to you, and I want you to answer these true or false. You're just gonna jot these down on your paper. There's nothing to download. And I want you to think about a specific instance in your life before answering. So just kind of think about something and then answer, and it's gonna be true or false. The first one: I demand perfection from myself and everyone around me. I am surprised when others don't like me or my ideas. I'm surprised when others don't like me or my ideas. People continually make promises to me without following through. I don't have many friends whom I really like or trust. I get tired of all of this political correctness. I don't have to like everyone. I don't appreciate other people's opinions of me. I don't like change. I work better alone than in groups. I tend to be more negative than positive. I'm afraid people will find out that I'm not what I appear to be. Okay. So as you answer those, I want you to think of this. If the majority of your answers are true, it's time to turn off the negative tapes and rid yourself of your limiting beliefs. In order to know yourself, you have to understand the lives and actions of others. So be a student of human nature and appreciate what everyone can bring to the party. Now, if the majority of your answers were false, you're comfortable with yourself and how you relate to people of all kinds. You're a student of life, and know learning from others helps you in your own life. So again, just kind of taking a temperature to see where we are and what's popping up for us. Because when we recognize the barriers to synergy, then we can actually break them down, right? So this is where, we can create an environment in which synergy can flourish. And you can use synergy producers. So let's see how often that you're using synergy producers. Now, Deb, I'm not sure if it's going to let you click on this exercise, so you may have to do it. We may have to come back to this.
Okay.
But in the chat box, there is going to be a link for breaking down the barriers.
Let me see. There it is. Okay, let's see.
Were you able to open it?
It says I need access to the Google Sheets.
Okay, so what we want you to do is go to the top and copy it.
Okay.
So do file and then copy, and then you'll be able to fill it in. Do you see that?
No, I've got the bar at the top. It says Google Sheets. You need access. Ask access to switch an account with access.
Okay, Mon, you may have to give that access.
Okay.
So you just copy it and
All right.
So do I just stay here? Do I need to click back in?
I would say, well, Mon, do we have that, or does she just need to refresh that page?
Can close and then
Okay, I
click the link
closed it.
again.
Okay,
Okay.
so now,
Yeah. Is it giving you the same thing?
yep,
Okay. So
Let me see.
we're going to go through this then while mine works on that piece. I sent it to
okay,
him super early this morning. So so this, you're going to, from 1 to 5, and you can choose any one of these, right? You're going to just, and 1 means never. 3 would be sometimes, and 5 would be always. Though you can, it might be sometimes we choose 2, right? We're somewhere between never and sometimes, but 1,
Right.
2, 3, or 4, or 5. I challenge and question others.
okay,
I'm honest and candid in my communication.
okay,
I keep commitments.
okay,
I keep my cool in stressful situations.
okay,
I convey my feelings clearly.
okay,
I'm realistic in my expectations of others.
okay,
I share credit and success with others.
okay,
I value differences of opinion and truly seek to understand them.
okay,
I discuss the facts without exaggerating.
okay,
I accept responsibility when things go wrong.
okay.
All right, go ahead and add those up. Now, while Deb's adding those up, again, if you're watching this from the recording, you could have gone through just like Deb did and identify those, or in the link, under the YouTube video, we should have that, and it should work by the time you get it. Click on that, make a copy, and you can feel free to just click on those, and then you'll add those up.
Okay.
All right, so if we look at this and we go, okay, well, how do we score this? Well, 45 to 55 means good job, you are a top synergy producer. 23 to 44, you're on the right track, keep producing. And 11 to 22, watch yourself, you're blocking synergy. Okay. So again, it's just about, right now, it's just about knowing where we are. There's no right, wrong, bad, or good. It's just where are we at right now. So that, right, there's that bold law, clarity is power. So we're getting clarity. Now, the cool part is once you've accepted the idea that differences are strengths and not weaknesses, you're ready to find the highway, right? Or the third alternative and create something better than what currently exists. So that third alternative is achieved when 2 or more people work together to create a better solution than those individuals could create separately. It's that 1 + 1 = 3 or more, right? It's not your way, it's not my way, it's a better way, a higher way. So how do we do this? So these are some steps. Number 1, define the problem or opportunity. Get a group together, right? Maybe choose a relationship or an issue where you would like to work toward a more synergistic end. And then you define the problem or opportunity. You listen to the other person. You share your views. You brainstorm options together, and then you find the best solution together. Okay. So that's how do we create that third approach, that next opportunity when we look at synergizing. So, and then we're going to go, and that is get, I love the go, right? Because so often We forget about go, and that is just get over it. Get over your blocks to synergy, that is, right? In your life, right? Have you ever found that there are people who drive you nuts or irritate you? I have. Everything that irritates us about others can lead to an understanding of ourselves. People who upset us the most are often our best teachers. When you understand and are comfortable with yourself, it becomes easier to open yourself to the ideas of others. So always put yourself in that other person's shoes. See, many of the truths that we cling to are simply a result of one point of views, which is ours, right? So that's when we look at synergy, right? So it's coming together as a beginning, keeping together as a process, and working together is success. So before we move on to habit 7, anything that you would add or you've learned from what we've done together this morning?
I'm in the middle of the road. So how do I move into that next level? So like on the first one, I was 35. This last one, I was a 33. So it looks like I'm on the right track, but how do I exceed into that next level?
So that's a great question. And there's so many, lots of ways to get there. For a quick would be make sure that we go back to study habit 4 and 5, right? 4 is win-win. Are we asking
We've
questions?
had this conversation.
Yeah. And then are we, and then seeking first to understand habit 5, then to be understood. And then I think going right back to this piece of going, okay, here's the problem or opportunity. Who needs to be involved in this? Okay, let me listen to them. Actually listen, not with the intent of answering, but what do I not know? And then sharing views in such a way that they feel free to share, then brainstorm options together. So I think that's going to be your next piece. All right, so let's move into habit 7, sharpen the saw. We've talked about this, and I think pretty much anybody that is a MAPS coach in my schedule, we always talk about taking care of ourselves, right? Gary even talks about when you're planning your year, you put the things that you can't control, like events, and then you go personal, then business, right? That ensures that we're sharpening the saw. Habit 7 is taking the time to sharpen the saw. It's preserving, enhancing the greatest asset that you have, right? It's you. My asset is me. It's renewing the 4 dimensions of our nature: physical, spiritual, mental, social, and emotional. This is the single most powerful investment we can ever make in our life. It's that investment in ourselves. It's the only instrument we have with which to deal with life and to contribute. Right? That Stephen Covey's quote. And it's so powerful. When we look at sharpening the saw, it's about balanced renewal in all of these elements, right? Because as you renew yourself in each of the 4 areas, you create growth and change in your life. You increase your capacity to produce and to handle those challenges around you. When you don't renew yourself, you limit or even reverse your growth, and limit or decrease your capacity to produce and your ability to handle challenges. We forget that when we're tired or we've gone so long that we're not producing at the highest level. We actually are decreasing our capability. I used to go back to thinking about like a computer. When it has so many things on it, it slows down. We do too. Now, we're not computers, and yet when we're not taking that time to sharpen the saw and renew ourselves, we're not operating at the highest efficiency we have. So often, though, it happens because we think we don't have time to sharpen the saw. So how can sharpening the saw actually increase capacity? So Covey talks about the time to cut a log with a dull saw. Let's say it's 30 minutes. If we took the time to sharpen the saw, which just takes us 5 minutes, and then we would actually cut down the time, because now it would only take us 10 minutes to cut the log with that sharp saw. So, right, ka-ching, you just save 15 minutes. Now, we talk about it in this realm. So how does that apply to our everyday life? Let's imagine that we have a deadline and we're exhausted and we have 5 hours to that deadline. Well, time to sharpen the saw, refocus, and feel ready to go. Let's say that takes 30 minutes. Time it takes to finish the project when you're refreshed is 4 hours. You just saved yourself 30 minutes by allowing yourself to pause and refresh, right? Now, this is something that whenever I was, studying around this, and I thought, wow, this is so important that we all not only know and share, internalize, that we just really get it at a high level. Feeling good does not just happen. You can't just snap your fingers and decide to feel good without making a conscious effort. Living a life in balance, or as Gary would say, right, counterbalance, means taking the necessary time to renew yourself. It's all up to you. You can renew yourself through relaxation, or you can totally burn yourself out by overdoing everything. You can pamper yourself mentally and spiritually, or you can go through life oblivious of your well-being. You can experience vibrant energy, or procrastinate and miss out on the benefits of good health. You can revitalize yourself in order to face a new day in peace and harmony, or wake up in the morning full of apathy because you get up and your get up and go has got up and gone, right? Just remember that every day provides a new opportunity for renewal, a new opportunity to recharge yourself instead of just hitting that wall. All it takes is the desire, the knowledge, and the skill. So this is why we're working on that 7 circles, right? And on our in the hub, right? We've got the vision, and then our reality to that vision. And we're looking at those 7 circles, are answering those questions, because it's about knowing where we are so that we can sharpen that saw. In order to reach a place of prosperity, you must engage in a process of renewal and revival. So in order to maintain meaningful and consistent progress, you must be able to sense congruity or disparity. The human endowment of conscious is called being self-aware. When you become self-aware, you can hear the intimations of conscious. So listen to your conscience. It can help you connect your conduct with your personal purpose. So let your conscious guide you, and you're going to work through some checklist, and Mon's going to put them in the chat box, and you're going to actually work on these on your own. So you're going to make a copy, and you're going to go through those. Now, if we have time, we're going to come back and go through those together. And yet I want to point out a couple of things. Now, this goes, again, hand in hand with the exercise we're doing when we look at that 12-week year. And we're taking our temperature and seeing where we are in those 7 circles. So what you're going to fill out is a checklist, and it starts with physical. So some of the answer or the questions: I stay informed and current on both health and fitness information. I exercise 20 to 30 minutes at least 3 times a week. I'm fully aware of my need for vitamins and minerals. I increase or maintain a strength program. I include cardiovascular and flexibility activities in my exercise. So there's more. And then you've got your spiritual checklist. I've defined what my values are, and I plan and live my life accordingly. I've created my mission statement. I rely on it to give vision and purpose in my life. I find daily renewal through meditation, prayer, study, or reflection. Again, there's more. And then there's a mental checklist, right? The mental checklist. I read books and other publications regularly. I keep a journal or some sort of log, or engage in a regular writing process. I allow music, silence, or some sort of relaxation exercise to clear my mind on a daily basis. And again, there's some more of these. And then the social emotional checklist. I'm reliable and dependable. I have a hopeful outlook on life. I'm trusting and supportive of people in my circle of influence. And again, you're going to go through that checklist just to jumpstart your thinking of your personal renewal plan, right? And so you're going to go through and answer those for yourself. And it's so important because, again, it's exactly what we're working on when we look at those 7 circles. Being self-aware will help provide an assurance that the renewal plan you come up with is right for you. Because if you desire quality life, you plan and work for the results. Careful, consistent planning and action can provide renewal. Now, a lot of times we talk about planning. Planning is merely drawing a blueprint for the nurturing you wish to experience. Now, there are 2 keys to successful planning: careful reflection and giving the plan priority time. So careful reflection will assist you in determining which activities will sincerely regenerate your energies. Safeguarding time for your plan will securely keep it a priority in your daily and weekly schedule. Right now, we're coming on it's Christmas season. Renewal is a gift you give yourself. It is not an imposition. That's why sharpening the saw is so important. Now, before we go into what's next and tying a bow on these last weeks and weeks of working through this book, I'd love to hear some, takeaways, maybe things that you've learned either reading the book or through what we shared today. How this has changed or maybe you're change you in terms of your attitude or how you're feeling, or maybe it's an aha of going, okay, this is important for me, or this is why I'm feeling this way. What would y'all share back with me when we look at, and Mon, you can jump in here as well, when you think about these, that 7th habit?
Well, I can state it. It's really easy for me to give away to other people because that's my nature. That's my makeup. It's a lot harder for me to schedule in time for the careful reflection and my renewal. So I have the energy that I probably could do a lot more other things for people if I wouldn't feel so drawn out and exhausted because I don't take care of myself. So that's repetitive in my life. So with your help, I probably should be listening to that a lot more.
Okay. Well, and it's a huge aha because it's so often, right? We're almost, if depending on how we grew up, and this could be a woman thing, it could be a cultural thing. There's lots of things, but we're taught that is selfish to take time for ourselves and things like that. Instead of, so it's shifting your paradigm to one of, and Deb, I know, your faith, and you think, is this how God would want me to treat his temple? If his temple is tired, right? So kind of shifting that paradigm to one of, this is so important to him that he talks about in the Bible. Let me live through that. And yes, then I can give to others. Yeah. Mon, anything that you would add or share? You've been with us through this entire journey of these 7 habits.
I like all, the discussions that we had in the past related to the book. But like what I said earlier in the beginning of the call, what I liked the most was the one that you had last week about habit 5. And to add on that, I used the checklist that you presented this morning, the one with the physical, spiritual, mental, and social. That gave me clarity on where I'm at in all those 4 aspects. So I'll continue. Maybe, once in a while, I'll go back into the checklist and see if there's anything that's, changing here for, for the better. So there.
Perfect. Perfect. And I would highly, you think back to what we're working on with all our clients of, those 7 circles, and then based on that, what, our GPS, and then our, creating that same piece for you of going, okay, this is where I'm at. Taking some of this, utilizing it to help you create the 7 circles so that we can look at that every 12 weeks and say, are we moving closer to that 10, closer to where we see or where we want, what we like our life to look like? Okay. All right. So let's jump into what's next, and that is implementation. So implementing the 7 habits can help you take responsibility for our life, decide what's really important, and live by effective principles. So in addition, it can help you develop an abundance mentality, right? Because breaking away from old habits to empower yourself to learn new habits, that can be compared to the space shuttle living the atmosphere. Most of the energy is spent breaking away from the gravity of Earth. So can you imagine an enormous 7 million pounds of total thrust is required to lift the shuttle during its 8.5-minute journey into the vacuum of space? So when we look at how that for us, right? So having the astronauts, right, having overcome that Earth's gravity and traveling 300 miles about the Earth at a sobering 17,500 miles per hour, astronauts suddenly experience an endless range of new possibilities in their weightless environment. So likewise, when we're overcoming the gravity pull of deeply embedded habits, we must break free from environmental expectations and social definitions. That's by being deliberate, by being intentional. Once we do that, we gain real power and real freedom. And just knowing that, just like that, that shuttle, if you've ever watched one leave, right, it looks like it's struggling. That's part of it. And then it busts off and it bursts through. That's what it may look like for us as well. It's going to in some way or another. So you must have a continual improvement process in your life if you hope to thrive and prosper in an environment of constant change and upheaval, right? 2021, constant change and upheaval, and yet that's our world, that's life. Avoiding the conditions of mediocrity, stagnation, and complacency requires great initiative, vision, and discipline, and can only occur if you are willing to pay the price. You must have a continual improvement. So here are some steps to living those 7 habits. Learn to be still, to meditate, and to live with some silence. Review your mission statement. That means if you haven't, go back into habit, I believe it was in habit 2, and create your mission statement. Continually sharpen the saw and spend time each day renewing the 4 dimensions of your life. So we want to spend time each day in physical, spiritual, mental, and social and emotional. As part of the process, right at the beginning of each day, you might ask yourself some of these questions. What is it that I desire to do today? How am I going to deal with my loved ones today? How am I going to handle today's challenges? In the wealth class last week that Drew Lee and Mark did, they shared, he says, every day his affirmation is, it's going to be a great day. And he says, some days aren't great days, and yet it's how am I going to start the morning off? And then you're going to think about your mission statement, maybe review it. What do you stand for? What is your purpose is in life? That way you're ensuring that throughout the day, that's staying with you as you're making decisions. Number 3, you're going to make deposits into emotional bank accounts of your key relationships and nurture the people you're close to. Success and harmony at home precede all other successes. and making sure that that's in a win-win, right? Win-win environment, not a lose-win, not a win-lose. We want it to be a win-win. And then spend more time in quadrant 2. Decide what's really important and work on that. Say no to the things that are not in quadrant 2 and work on empowering others to free up more of your own time and energy. So that's how we start implementing living these 7 habits. So we are at the end of today's call, and yet I would love to hear maybe some next steps that you're going to implement, any ahas from what we've looked at today or over this entire piece of the 7 habits of highly effective people.
Well, I think that the aha I have is that I know that I'm a fixer, and to step away from, stand back from that, to be quiet, because sometimes I step in to fix things that maybe don't, they just want somebody to listen and not fix it. So that's kind of my aha, and how maybe I step over into other people's messes when they don't necessarily need a fixer. And that kind of goes back to some of the other things that we've been coached on through some, other things that we've done here with, you're not to be the hero in other people's stories. You're to help facilitate them being a hero in their own life. And so it's bringing everything together. So I appreciate that.
Love that. Yeah, that makes me think of that. Diane used to always say, like, we view people as whole, complete, and perfect. Well, if they're whole and complete, they don't need me to save them. Now, they may, want some advice or some hearing or some this, but we want to make sure that, are we approaching it that way? That makes me think about going back into, and I have that book with me right here. It makes me, begin with the end in mind. What's the intent here? And there was that made me think about, okay, when that seek first to understand and then be understood, which I did a recording of that since we didn't have that call last week. And that will go out today with this one. I can't, but it'll come to me. But yes, absolutely. Like, so standing from a place of, my job is not to fix. People will figure it out if they're, and yet maybe to be here. There's so often that we rob people of their growth when we step in. Love that. Okay. Mon, anything that you would add?
For me, it's a bit technical, because what I would like to say is that there's no need for me to reread the book. If there is something that I missed, or something that I'd like to hear again from the 7 habits, I can just easily go to your YouTube channel and then select there which one to listen to, because that will just be much more easier. It's concise, and also it has stories that you have shared in the past. So that will be much more easier for me, instead of going back into the book.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I trust that you guys did, like, there have been some changes in terms of knowledge and in terms of our attitude, skills, and then the habits, right? So really being reflective and looking on that, and especially as we step into, the Christmas holidays, those can be an amazing time, and they can be a stressful time. So, how are you planning, and how are you, and not because we're looking for it to be perfect, right? It's progress, not perfection. It's, and it's listening to other people and right, seeking first to understand and then to be understood. So I love that it's not, it's that win, going back to that win-win. So that's what we'll wrap up today. I will say that remember the group calls start on the 18th. So, which is tomorrow. So anybody that's listening to this, go to the email. Maps has sent it out. I've sent it out. It's in our hub with what's going on for the week. We've got the calls. Go through there and decide which ones are going to be the best to suit you, and then be on those calls. All right. With that said, have a very, very Merry Christmas. And if there's anything you need, reach out, let me know, shoot me a text, email, or give me a call. All right.
Thank you.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Have an amazing, amazing rest of your day, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Bye.